Years and years ago, I screamed for salvation. No. My requests have been answered. All those years of vegetarian rations, well, you only got them sometimes, but you really felt cheated. Someone has been listening. As they say, it works in mysterious ways, and we have this. This is made by On Track Meals. On Track Meals are an Australian company in Brisbane, Queensland. These people, their background, they started as expedition people who got a really great reputation for the food they fed people, and they saw an opportunity. Let's give other people a chance to have our expedition food on their expeditions. And a mate, Mark, thanks mate, he gave me this to trial. So this is a wet pack slow cooked Australian steak. This stuff has a 2-year shelf life from manufacturing. I've got notes here because there's a fair bit of information to give them a fair crack. You can order directly from their website for delivery nationally within Australia, or you can go to their shops: Montbell Australia, K2 Base Camp, Scout Outdoor Centre, Aspire Adventure Equipment and Bogong Equipment. One of the things about this that I noticed, I've got several of these, the bottom is clear, so you can actually have a look at the food. That's pretty good. This wet pack food resembles what we had, we called combat ration in the Australian Army. We had combat rations and patrol rations. The combat rations were originally in tins, and then in packs like this you can open it and eat it cold. You eat it on the go, whereas the patrol ration, it was popular when you got it. It was freeze dried, and once reconstituted you got more food, but you needed water, either carry it or procure it out in the field, and then time to prepare it. But overall it weighed less and you ended up with more food. The patrol ration was rare. I patrolled plenty of times with the combat ration, and the very few times I got the patrol ration I wasn't doing much patrolling. I was doing other stuff. So that's the logistics system and outside and above my pay grade. Now the way I'm going to do something strange here, and I'm not going to prepare it the way you normally would initially. I'm going to try it cold, but I'll give a demonstration of how it gets prepared optimally, normally. I'm sure other people will have different sorts of cooking equipment to this. Cup canteen. With this, you'd normally fold that in half, stick that in the cup, whichever way you like, cover it with water and boil it. The beauty of that has happened on a couple of training exercises. Cold, wet night, hardly any sleep, brief pause to watch the sun come up, and I've determined that this time I'm going to heat it up. And I did that. You don't open it until you're about to consume it. Just got it out. I was about to tear it and a shot rang out. Great, stick it in the pocket. I didn't lose any food. It wasn't opened yet, so I didn't have food all through my gear. But that's how you would normally prepare it. Fold it, stuff it in, boil the water. But a lot of people who are going to use this, particularly if it's an emergency preparedness thing, car breaks down or some other natural disaster hits and you don't have the ability to heat water, you're going to eat it cold. So I'm going to sample it cold first, give you a look at it on the spoon, and then the remainder I'm going to heat like this, such as I can. So let's try it out. Usual thing, little indentation there to rip it. Now it's slow cooked Australian steak, and the picture on it shows a nice chunk of steak there. Now to be fair, it's not going to be that. If it's slow cooked, it's going to get squished, and we've all squished it and moved it round and packed it, so it's not a solid lump of steak sitting in there anymore. However, cold test. To look at, it's a little bit more pink in colour than I expected. To me it smells like corned beef. That's what it looks like. This is what I would have wanted eating a cold meal, sitting in a hole or sitting in my canoe and unable to effectively heat food. So, cold test, it's a win. Time to heat it up. While it's heating up, I'll tell you some more. With it opened, the food sits to where the spoon is. With it pulled wide open. This is a part of their premium range. Packet weight is 220 grams. 1,250 kilojoules in this pack. It has 46.7 grams of protein. So, being beef, presuming good, solid, healthy grass-fed beef, it's going to have all 8 essential amino acids and the other 3 handy to have ones. In addition to 46.7 grams of protein, it has 9.7 grams of fat, 3.4 grams of which are saturated. 5.9 grams of carbohydrates, 1.9 gram of that is sugar. Now the ingredients, here's the thing. 96% Australian beef, Australian steak, and 4% gravy mix. Amongst that was yeast extract. And as an Aussie, yeast extract, that's Vegemite. I presume very similar. To read the blurb very briefly. Enjoy a delicious Australian steak slowly cooked in a subtle peppery gravy. Okay, so what's the intent? The intent of this is the flagship of a main meal, a dinner. But it's not intended to be a complete meal by itself. Now with the cold test, I talked about the smell, the texture, the appearance, and I showed it to you, and the taste. Now what I didn't pick up was the peppery gravy. It thankfully wasn't as peppery as I expected, which is good because I might need to feed this to the kids and they really don't like the spices and stuff. I can carry sachets of Tabasco sauce or a small bottle, or indeed a small amount of pepper myself. Yeah, for those people who would want it peppery, sure, it's maybe a bit more convenient with it peppery, but it limits the range. So I think they've got that just right. Here we are cooking away. All looking good in there. It's dark, getting dark out on the lake. So I've got my lighting technicians and the apprentices. Good old Hexamine and Cups Canteen. They've had their dinner. They had chicken carbonara freeze dried. That was their initiation. And I'm still here. This is good to go. So off with that. So here goes it. like a lot of foods, I never used to heat rations up till one day, after a couple of days, range sentry sitting on a beach, making sure that people didn't walk up the beach and get bombed. I heated up my rations and the food was 10 times better. So this is the same. The heating has, I don't know, melted some of the fats. It's really brought out the gravy. It's a creamy thing. It says that it's peppery. I'm not really sensing it, but I tell you what, have a taste of that, guys.
Yes, Dad.
What do you think, darling? Thumbs up? Do you want to say what you think?
Well, you know, thumbs up.
Alright, so that's a 7-year-old girl's opinion. 10-year-old boy's opinion. What do you think?
It's in there in the best steaks I've had.
So, smell. I'm picking up a faint sense of mushroom, but it's probably not the intent. That's just me. Texture, look, it's very much like something that's come out of a slow cooker or a pressure cooker. I know there's pepper there, but it's not overwhelming. It's just right. And in fact, I'd say that the gravy is a creamy sort of experience. I do eat this out of the bag. Other people would tip it into a pot, but to me that's just another thing to clean, another use of precious water. If you don't expect to be able to procure water, then this is the sort of ration to go for. And yeah, this On Track Meals is my first experience. Mate gave them to me, thanks again. And yeah, I'm well impressed. As I said earlier, they don't intend this to be a complete meal. They intend it to be a flagship of a meal alongside something else, whether it's mashed potato, beans, pasta, noodles, rice, something like that. So if I was going to be on a trek of some sort, I would have this, I'd plan this for the night before I was going home, after a milestone, or indeed the night before a rest day. With all that protein in there, this is really going to do a good thing. I will note that once heated, that gravy is quite runny, and I've had it dripping freely off the spoon onto my notebook. So it's a runny gravy, but it is very flavoursome, and that's the sort of gravy some people are into. So it's not a good or bad, it's just that's what it is, whether you like it or not. So my personal preference would be for the gravy to be a bit thicker, and not doing that. Again, that's just me. All up from all three of us. Thumbs up, well done, and thank you very much. Cheers.
I never used to like pepper things. When I heard the pepper, I was afraid to try it. But of all the pepper things I've had, this is one of the yummiest. So, thanks for the meal we could test, and hope you guys enjoyed when you try it out.
And we'll look forward to breakfast. Well said, mate.